Good evening, my dear colleagues. Welcome to another Engage Zoom Serious Talk. Today, our guest is Giti Jafari from Ankara Bilim University. Giti Hocam had her MA from Gazi University. He has been teaching English and French for 16 years to different age groups in international settings as a multilingual teacher and an authorized teacher trainer. Her research interest areas are teacher education, linguistic insecurity, and teachers' challenges in EFL classrooms. The title of her talk this evening is Understanding Learning Styles. Thank you, dear Gita Hocam, for being with us, accepting to be a guest speaker, and welcome again. The screen is all yours.
Good evening, Aydan Hocam, and good evening to all my colleagues, and thank you for joining this meeting. I hope you enjoy it. This evening, we're going to discuss learning styles, its importance, and how to apply it in ELT classrooms. Well, if you're ready, let's go. I'm very stressed. I didn't say I would be, but I really am. So let's start with the first slide. First question. Do all people learn in the same way? Okay, it's just, let's say lots of evidence show that no, people observe, process, and retain new information and skills in different ways. And so learning about their learning styles can optimize their learning. Let's say by learning can be optimized for an individual by tailoring instruction to his or her style. Well, before we start our presentation, I just want to mention one very important point about learning style, and that's it. By learning about learners' learning style, we don't mean to label students and restrict their abilities or limit their subjects to very particular ones. It means that we don't focus on their weaknesses. In contrast, we try to find their strengths and focus on their strengths and to facilitate their learning process. So let's keep it in mind and continue with our learning styles. So here we try to be objective. We don't want to label students. You are visual students, so you can't make it in audio subjects. No, we just try to find their strengths, focus on their strengths, and help them thrive in a situation that is a bit different from their preferences. So, talking about learning styles can have many benefits. It can have short-term goals, short-term benefits, or long-term benefits. Talking about short-term ones, it can bring self-awareness to learners, and by learning about their strengths or their preferences, they can perform a better performance. They can show a better performance during their educational journey. And also they can make cohesive and productive study groups and adapt to new learning situations. When it comes to its long-term goals, they can, if students learn about their learning styles, they are likely to get interested in learning process and they stay lifelong learners during their life. So learning won't be limited to educational settings. They keep learning everywhere, all the time, and they become lifelong learners. It also helps them select the right field to study, and have higher confidence in themselves, and also it increases their motivation. Uh, well, there are many different models and theories presented by psychologists, psychiatrists, linguists, and educators, and each person looks at learning styles, or let's say learning preferences, from different aspects. Well, today we are just going to talk about some of them. The first one is Jung's theory of psychological types. The second one, and maybe the most important one, the most well-known one, is Myers and Briggs MBTI. The next one I decided to talk about is Kolb's learning theory. And the last one will be a work model by Fleming and Baum. The other ones are also very, let's say, influential in the field, but because of the time, I decided to limit my presentation to only 4 of the models. And let's start with this charismatic Swiss gentleman with his pipe, who once used to be Freud's best friend, but later, because of some disagreements, so they had some problems. But Jung was the first one to who came with the idea of extrovert and introvert personalities, and then he concluded that nobody is 100% extrovert or introvert, and we all are to some extent introvert or extrovert, and then he called it ambivert. Coming back to Jung's theory, he believes that actually he suggests that people experience the world using 4 principal psychological functions. The first one is sensation, the second one is intuition, and feeling and thinking. I'm not going to focus on them, because we go one step further. We pass to this lovely mother and daughter who got their main idea from Jung's work. Let's say Jung set the stage for other psychologists who take the main idea from these principles, and then they formed their own model. Briggs and Myers, they have a type indicator which is best known as MBTI, initial letters of Myers-Briggs type indicator. They, let's say, have some different concepts in learning. They, let's say, categorize the personalities into 4 groups and let's say subcategories, and then they decide that people, according to these indicators, can have one of these 16 personality models. Let's go back. Here you can see the indicators from Myers and Briggs aspect. They investigate people's let's say, learners, people's senses and way of thinking in these 4 categories. In the first one, you can see extroversion and introversion. E stands for extroversion, and in this category, they talk about the way that people focus on how people focus their attention. Extroversions generally focus on outer world, while introversions focus on the inner side of things. The second grouping, it's about the way people gather information. Sensing, wise, intuition. Sensing means that people focus on the present and they have a concrete information gained by their senses, while intuition refers to people who focus on the future and they deal with possibilities. The third group refers to the way that people make decisions. Thinking refers to people who pay attention to logic and reasoning, and they have an objective analysis, and they pay lots of attention to cause and effect. While feeling refers to people who make decisions based on values, and in this way, they have a subjective evaluation. And the last group refers to the way that people deal with outer world. Judging refers to people who have plans and organized approaches toward problems, toward new, let's say, new things, but perceiving refers to people who have a flexible lifestyle and they can make quick decisions or spontaneous decisions. So if we put the initial letter of the categories, for example, let's say, imagine a person who with extroversion, E, and sensing, S, thinking, T, judging, J, ESTJ. We put them together, as you can see here. The executive, organized, punctual leader. These 16, let's say, grouping is kind of, let's say, inclusive. So they believe that every person with different preferences, based on their, way of making decisions or way of dealing with outer world or other factors, no matter which group they are, they belong to one of these 16 groups. So, if you are interested in this topic, you can, for further information, you can check the references at the end of my presentation. I added a page, myronbriggs.org. You can check their webpage and you can get access to, I'm sorry for my cracked voice. So we can get access to full information about their personality test and about their background and their work. Let's go one step further and please keep it in your mind that Myers and Briggs believe that no combination is considered better or worse than another. All types are considered equal. It is just about differences. People perceive, people observe, people retain information in different ways. So it doesn't mean that one group is better or worse than the other. It's just about their preferences and their abilities. So, the next theory is Kolb's learning theory. Kolb believes that learning process is completed if one learner can complete this circle, which is composed of concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. So, learning process is not completed unless someone can complete this circle. To better understand what it means, Let's watch a video, a very short video together.
The idea of reflective practice is based upon the assumption that we learn from our experiences and that this contributes to our professional knowledge. David Kolb's theory of experiential learning provides a helpful framework for understanding how reflection helps us make sense of our experiences. As healthcare professionals, we are engaged in practical activities with those in our care. Kolb refers to this as the concrete experience that begins the cycle of experiential learning. During or after a concrete experience, we often reflect on what we did, what went well, and what didn't go so well. This is referred to as reflective observation in Kolb's model and highlights the importance of reflecting in and on action in order to learn from experience. This reflection on experience often results in new ideas or conceptualizations that shape our learning about practice. Through what Kolb calls abstract conceptualization, we generate new understandings about ourselves and our practices that inform the way we work. We then experiment by trying out these new ideas or conceptualizations as part of the learning process. Through what Kolb calls active experimentation, we test out the implications and validity of our new understandings in the real world and come to integrate new approaches into our practice repertoire. This cyclical process of experiential learning is often repeated in order to see what happens as a result of our adaptations. This process enables healthcare professionals to think about the new experience, reflect further, draw new conclusions, and perhaps decide to adapt one's practice again.
So I think this video completely tells us what Kolb's mean by learning circle.
The idea.
Sorry. And to conclude it, according to Kolb, effective learning is seen when a person progresses through a cycle of 4 stages. First, he or she needs to concrete experience, followed by observation and reflection on that experience, which leads to formation of abstract concept and generalization, which are then used to test the hypothesis in future situations, resulting in new experiences. If you pay attention, you can find out that we already do it in our daily lives. Sometimes after let's say, after we experience something, we think about it, we evaluate the experience, which is observation and reflection. Then we try to take lessons from it and then try to learn new things from it. And we actually, we learn from it, and it will be beneficial for our next experiences. This is a full circle of learning according to Kolb's. And then according to this cycle, he puts people into 4 groups according to their learning preferences. He believes he classifies people into 4 groups. The first group is accommodators, which means concrete experience plus active experiment. And these kind of people are strong in hands-on practical things, practical tasks, and they can carry out plans and experiments, and they are good risk takers. And also they are hands-on practical people. So next group is convergers, which is abstract conceptualization plus active experiment. And the people who belong to this group, their strengths lie in application of theories and ideas, and they focus on specific problems at a time. So great engineers come out of this group because they can focus on problems and they can find solutions for that problem. The next group is divergers, which is a mix of concrete experience and reflective observation. Learners from this group are strong in imaginative ability and discussion. They can discuss for many hours, and they are interested in people, and they are very emotional. Maybe teachers belong to this group, maybe. I don't know, not sure. The last group is assimilators, abstract conceptualization plus reflective observation. Learners from this group are strong in inductive reasoning and creation of theories. They own great ability of reasoning and finding the big picture. They look for the big picture. So philosophers, theorists, and they belong to this group. Well, after Kolb's theory, let's go to Work model by Fleming and Bohm. These two gentlemen presented a work model, which stands for visual. V stands for visual, A stands for auditory, R stands for read-write, and K stands for kinesthetic. They believe that learners can be categorized into 4 groups according to their preferences. Visual learners can learn better while seeing. They like to see, and they like visuals, they like charts, they like bar graph, pictures. Even if the teacher is speaking, they want to see the body language of teacher, and they want instructions in, let's say, as a picture. So it's not enough just to tell them what to do. You need to show it with your body language, by pictures from the book. They need to see, especially the instructions. The second group is auditory. You know that they are interested in musics and sounds. They can learn better with listening. The third group is reading, read and write group. You all have students who keep taking notes in the classroom, whatever you say, they keep writing. They have very organized and, let's say, clean notes. Everybody wants their notes at the end of the semester before the exams, because they make a clean record of whatever you say. They keep writing, and before the exam, they keep reading their notes, and they feel joy in reading their notes and seeing the details. And the last group, maybe the troublemakers in the classroom, the ones that cannot sit still for a long time, or the ones that they want to do something, they make noise, they move, they are kinesthetic, they need their hands. Be kind to them. It's not, they need to move during learning. Believe me, they learn. Even if they move, even if they cannot stay still, they learn, because that's their way of learning. When you say that, for example, now let's role play, they get happy because they need to perform, they need to do, they need to, let's say, apply whatever they learn. It's not enough just enough to hear or to read. They need to apply it. Well, so that's work model. And first, I'm not sure if they were first ones to present multi-model, but it was after work model that multi-models were let's say, discussed. Multi-model or mixture refers to a situation where a learner has more than one learning style, or can switch from one model to another according to the subject. It means that when the subject changes, learners' learning style may change, or at the same time, at one particular subject, they may perform more than one learning style. For example, in ELT classroom, some students, namely me, I'm one of those who write the words, read the words, act it out. I need to repeat it audio. I need to keep notes, verbal, and then I need to act it out by walking or kinesthetic. One learner can have more than one learning style, or can switch from one model to another according to the subject. Well, yeah, work model is very famous among young learners because it is too simple, and that is why these two gentlemen and their model received a lot of criticism. Because it was said that their model was simplified, and also because of its limited focus on context and content and inadequate attention to individual differences, this model was very criticized, but is still very popular. Now, you may ask that now that we have a lot of models, theories, what should we do in the classroom? Which model should we follow? Or we don't learn about models to apply them in the classroom. We need to know about the psychology and the theory behind the models so we can better understand our learners and their preferences. But here, I decided to make a collection of some, I studied many different models, but I came to a conclusion that some learning types are almost similar in all models. And then I narrowed it down to ELT classroom. And I decided to talk about these very popular learner types: visual, oral, verbal, physical, logical, social, solitary. If you are an ELT teacher, you're most likely to have these kind of students in your classroom, but still don't forget that we need to always be ready for multimodal or mixture learning styles. So let's start with the first one, and then we will have some tips for this kind of students, visual ones. As you can guess from its name, visual learners love to see lessons come to life. It's very important. They sit at the front of the class. Visual students generally sit at the front of the class because they want to see teachers' body language and facial expressions. And also, automatically, they know that they may get distracted by kinesthetic ones. They don't want to be disturbed, so they come to front, they sit at the front of the class. Visual learners are detailed note takers. They take notes, they highlight their notes, they use markers, they use colorful pencils, pens. Here is an example of visual learners' notes. How do you feel about it? You all have students in the classroom who keep this kind of notes, and sometimes it's funny, but if they don't take notes this way, they are less likely to go back and read their notes and learn from it. So please tell me in the comments if you have such students and how do you deal with them. Keep changing the pencils. They change the colors and they keep writing. They are kind of nerve-breaking, but still lovely. So they think in pictures, so use visual displays, slideshows, posters, clips, and other visual tools. Thanks to technology, smartphones, laptops, iPads, it is not a challenge to make visuals in the classroom. It's very easier than in the past. Well, let's go to the next type. Auditory, also known as oral or musical students, they love music. They love sounds. They learn better through verbal lectures and presentations, discussions. They enjoy reading text aloud. Today in the classroom, I asked my class to read the text, and some of them, Ece, always says, "Teacher, can I read it out loud?" I said, "Yes, but you can distract others." "Teacher, I don't understand when I don't read it out loud." Okay, you're audio, Ece. Let's accept it. We need to handle this situation, and her friends know her, so it makes no problem. But may even bring a recorder to record your lecture. I don't know if you let your learners record your voice or not, but this is special to audio learners because they want to listen again at home. And Please, please feed your oral learners by podcasts, face-to-face learning, group discussions, interviews, and audio books. It is not just enough, especially in case of instructions. Don't show the book, for example, open, do this. You need to tell them, open your books, look at number 1. They want to hear, they live with the sounds. So, please write in comments for me. What do you do for your auditory students? Do you do anything special in the classroom? Do you introduce podcasts or any applications, or how do you deal with these students? My dear colleagues, let me hear from you. Too much colors for you. Not for me, I'm visual. I used to memorize meaningless things with a melody. Easier to remember them exactly. Yes. Okay, I will come back to comments later. Let's go further. Go for logical students or mathematical. These students prefer using logic, reasoning, and systems. They have a keen sense for numbers, sequence, association, and problem solving. These are the ones in ALT classroom who keep asking for formulas, tables. Teacher, here we add S, but here we don't. Why? They keep, yes, I don't know, just favorite part. They keep asking for formulas in grammar lessons. They pay attention to word forms. Shin, it's a noun because it has T-I-O-N. Yeah, that's it. They always look for logic, even in the words. So, feed your logical students by activities that involve multi-step processes, data collection, and mysteries. This way you can catch their attention. And you could break things like verbs and adjectives into tables and charts. Maybe you can talk about word roots if they are interested. Provide information through bullet points and to-do lists. Give them chance to think strategically. Give logical thinkers the clearest explanation possible. They want clear explanation. So, how many of them? Visual, auditory, logical, and the next one is verbal. Verbal students, they learn best through words. They are good public speakers. They prefer hearing a detailed explanation over overviewing a physical visual demonstration. They are interpersonal and enjoy interacting. They love interacting and they love verbal communication. They are strong public speakers. What can we do for them? Provide word games, puns, and rhymes. Give students opportunities to present in front of their peers. It makes them feel better when they present something. Roundtable discussions and class debates are preferred. They make great teacher helpers. Verbal students are assistants in the classroom. They are teacher helpers. So here you can see an example of notes of a verbal student. You can see the arrows, you can see the boxes. They love words and verbal communication. Next is kinesthetic, the troublemakers in the classroom. Yes, they need their hands to do things. They even need their hands for language learning. They prefer using their body, hands, and sense of touch to explore the world. Have trouble sitting for long periods of time. They are easily distracted and may distract others. So, provide blended class activities like role models or like, let's say, follow-up activities, let them walk around the class. If I think it depends on the educational settings, not every classroom. In every classroom, it is possible to walk around the class. But if it is possible, it makes them happy to be free in the classroom. Instead of countering them with commands or harsh words, strike a healthy balance between quiet and hands-on activities. Flexible sitting can be a solution. What do we mean by flexible sitting? Well, here I need to show you some examples of flexible sittings. You can prefer one of them according to your to the purpose of the classroom, or it depends on the educational setting. It is not available in all educational settings. It depends on the workplace. These are flexible seating models. This one is not recommended, but the others, especially these exercise balls in modern schools, are recommended. They are very preferred, especially for hyperactive students in the classroom and for kinesthetic learners. Me personally, I don't prefer to use it in the classroom because it distracts me. But if you have many kinesthetic students, maybe that can be a solution. Let's go further. Let's go for the next learning type, interpersonal. Interpersonal or social learners. As you can see, they like communicating. They have good verbal skills and communication skills. They enjoy interaction and teamwork. Too many readings and writings and let's say grammar, vocabulary will be very boring for these kind of students. They like role models, discussions, they like to present, they like teamwork, to discuss with their peers and to present something. They learn better from each other than from their teacher. So what can be done for these type of students? Develop small study groups so they feel free to communicate, to interact with their friends. Present opportunities to work in groups. Peer-to-peer tutoring sessions work better. Group discussions. Good. We all have this type of students, but be careful. In group discussions or teamwork or kind of interactive activities that we need to put some students in a group, we need to be careful about intraperson students who like to work by their own. Solitary learners are your quiet angels. They are not shy. They are not introverted. They can be extroverted when given the opportunity. They prefer self-study rather than group work. So they may seem passive in a teamwork. If they are put in a group, it seems that they are passive, inactive, they don't participate, but they do, but in their own way. I have a student, Feyza Barış Hocam, you know her, very smart girl, autonomous learner, and she is solitary learner. She doesn't like to be in any group. Whenever we pair them, we ask them to do something in pairs. Actually, that's she who does everything, but it seems that she doesn't speak, she doesn't participate, she doesn't like to be in a group, she's silent, but she exactly knows what she's doing. She exactly knows what she wants. Last semester, again, she was my student. She had a very professional presentation. It was well prepared and it was the best presentation in the classroom. She exactly knows what she wants. She doesn't like to work with others, to share her work with others. So please don't force your solitary students to participate, to be active. They do it, let's say, automatically. They don't like to be part of a group, but it doesn't mean that they are not working. They can be very hardworking. Don't forget, they are not shy. They prefer to work individually. So we talked about group activities, teamwork, but please be careful about interpersonal and intrapersonal students. Don't force solitary ones to join the groups, to participate, and this way they may feel better. Now, we have some tips for ELT teachers now that we talked about different learning styles in ELT classroom. Let's see what can be done by teacher. First of all, you can use diagnostic assessments, or there are some personality tests you can use to decide about the learning type of your students. But please verify the results with classroom observations. It's a very sensitive issue and it needs to be treated with care. We can't label the students from just one or two behaviors according to one activity or two. We need to have long-term observations. Then we decide about the learning type of a student. Varied instructional materials you can use. Actually, it is better to use kind of materials and instructions that address different types of learning. Our strategies, our teaching techniques, and also materials shouldn't be limited to one or two types of learners only. We can use audio material, we can use visuals, read and write, give the material that addresses different learning types. And always keep in your mind that you may have multimodal students in the classrooms, or even if you don't, multimodal activities are a solution for all types of learners. Flexible grouping. Who says that groups should have same number of students? It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, or it can change. It differs from one student to another. Some people like to have 4 groups of 4, groups of 3. Some of them, solitary students, prefer to study alone or practice or do the job on their own. I think they must have the chance to decide whether they want to be part of a group or not. It doesn't mean that we need to isolate them. They should be free to decide to be in the group or not. Clear instructions and visual clues are very important to make sure that visual, verbal, audio students completely understand what they are supposed to do. Individualized feedback. Offer individualized feedback to students based on their learning styles. Some may prefer written comments. Some may prefer verbal feedback. According to their learning style, they should be provided by comments and feedbacks. Choice in assignment, if possible. Sometimes we don't have time, as teachers, we don't have time to prepare different assignments, a variety of assignments for the classrooms. But if possible, it is better to prepare assignment in a form that it appeals to a wide range of students or different types of assignments for different learners. Professional development, putting classroom and teaching aside, as teachers, we need to be updated. We can attend workshops, conferences, courses. We read articles, journals to stay updated and to learn from our experienced colleagues. There is no doubt that we all do so. And role-playing and simulations engage students in role-playing scenarios that require language use in practical context. Role plays are popular by almost all types of students because they can, let's say, it activates different aspects of their learning: speaking, listening, writing, interacting, communicating. Next one, technology integration. We all have to do so. Actually, we have no other options, but we would better engage our students with out-of-class activities, and thanks to technology and different applications, it is not a big challenge right now. We can introduce different applications for speaking, for reading, writing, out-of-class activities for our students. So remember that every classroom is unique and the student's preference may vary. Flexibility and adaptability in your teaching methods will contribute to a more inclusive and effective ELT experience for all learners. Now, one important point here is that now that we know about learners' styles and we know that we would better prepare materials and teaching techniques and strategies according to their learning styles, but we shouldn't limit the activities and techniques to learners, to students' learning type. Sometimes a bit of mismatch can challenge the students, can push them out of their comfort zone, so they explore new fields and they try new subjects or kind of activities. Maybe they can perform better in the field. So we shouldn't limit activities and teaching to learners, to students' learning type. So here I need you all to clap. Should the students be informed about their learning types? Please raise your hand if your answer is yes. Let me see. Should the students, after we decided about students' learning type, should we share it with them? Please raise your hand if your answer is yes. Okay, only 2. What about the others? So I should say, if you have answered yes or no, both of you all are right. We can share it with our learners just in the case that they are old and mature enough to understand the importance of their learning style. And it is important to make sure that they can manage it. Sometimes they misunderstand. And if you share their learning type with them, for example, you are a visual student, they may get demotivated, they may misunderstand it, and they maybe believe that, they think that, oh, now that I'm visual, I can't do well in audio or in the fields that require audio style. Or if they are, for example, kinesthetic, so I can't make it when it comes to visual subjects. But it is not correct. Maybe they have multi-models, or maybe they perform different styles in different subjects, and also a bit of challenge, a bit of mismatch can push them and to explore new fields. So if they are, especially for young learners, don't share their learning style with them, they can get demotivated, they can misunderstand it, they can limit their learning to certain subjects, and maybe they never push themselves to learn other subjects. Here you can see the references, and thank you everybody for joining this meeting and for listening. I know that it was a bit quick. I tried to finish it on time.
You
So
you did a great job. Thank you very much.
thank
The
you.
topic itself is a very rich one, but you managed to somehow summarize it very briefly, but the session turned out to be extremely informative. Thank you
Thank you,
very
Hocam.
much, Giti Hocam.
It's so nice to hear
Uh,
that from you, Hocam. Thank you.
well, people are thanking you in the chat box for this wonderful presentation.
Thank
If
you.
you are done with sharing the screen, maybe you can just stop it and then we can see each other. Um, if you have any questions, my dear colleagues, you can use the chat box to write your question or raise your hand and ask the question of Giti Hocam. While I'm, I'll give you some time to think about your question or remarks if you have any. I have something I want to mention. You know me, I never shut up.
Yeah, Hocam.
Even with this voice, I don't know when to keep my mouth shut.
But somehow you're always right. Somehow.
No, no, no. No one can always be right. The one thing that I want to underline here is when you inform your students about their learning styles, they have maybe it's something cultural, I don't know. They have a tendency to get this and use it as a weapon. So whenever an instructor or a teacher comes up with a different teaching style, they go like, but I'm a visual learner. I cannot learn the way you teach. That's why we say, do not inform your learners. Help them learn about their learning style by themselves. How do you learn? What are the conditions that help you learn better? You know, there are so many devices that, I should say maybe questionnaires or um, um, what are the guidelines to help them identify their own learning styles? You can help them do that rather than saying you are a um, whatever learner, you know, especially with young learners. I know that most of you guys here do not work with young learners, but with young learners, never, 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 never do anything like that, okay? Because then they really feel so upset. They think that it's a kind of an illness or sickness. If you say you're a visual learner, oh no, I don't want to be.
They misunderstand it
Yeah,
and
they
they
totally
can't manage it.
misunderstand. Oh yes, I know. Uh, so if the age of the students is right, if they're cognitively mature enough, you can help them in fact, find out how they learn by themselves rather than you prescribing them. That would be my attitude. And of course, as Giti Hocam has mentioned, we should never force any student to anything in the classroom. Pushing the student always ends in a terrible result. Encouraging them is better. Coming up with a kind of a mixed activity scale and giving them the option of, join whichever activity, whichever task that you want to join. I'm not forcing you. I'm giving you the option. Don't forget that um, language is something that is used for interaction and communication. If a learner is a solitary learner, you cannot say, okay, do everything by yourself. That student needs to also communicate with others because otherwise we cannot see what this person is doing. But do not force, do not push, do not, never, 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 never use negative derogatory statements or phrases in the classroom. Never. Always encourage, show your appreciation. Do not praise the student, praise the behavior, because praising the student is also labeling. Don't forget that. So you can always say, rather than saying, oh, what a bright student you are, you can always say, what a bright remark. My God, excellent remark. I haven't thought about that before. Right? By the way, I keep talking because I cannot see any questions in the chat box. If you don't ask any questions, I will continue talking. That's a threat. Yes, Hocam.
Thank you, Aydan Hocam, and thank you, Giti Hocam, for this brilliant presentation. I don't have a question, but I have an observation I want to share. There is a problem that I observed during my teacher practicum, at least for me as a diabetic, that block scheduling without giving a break, having to sit and listen to the teacher for a long time. It's a torture, especially for kinesthetic learners, not only for the learners, but also for us, teachers. And more importantly, it's also against basic human rights. I believe this should be minimized. I don't know what you think.
Hocam, do you have an answer for that?
I completely agree with you. If as teachers we get bored after a blocked lesson, imagine how learners feel. So me personally, I have kinds of activities that I learned from my Dan Hocam. Instead of break, I prefer to have that kind of activities and it kind of physical and verbal activity, mixed activities. For example, we had a read and write activity in the classroom. So that kind of activities that take 5 or 10 minutes can be taken as a break. We can do that kind of activities or games. And after they go back to their chairs, they feel refreshed without going out of class. Actually, they have done a kind of activity. So it can refresh them. They get ready again for the rest of the lesson. Different games which have physical and verbal mixed purposes can work better, but still blocked lessons are a big problem. We have such problem in our institution, but we kind of manage it. We do activities instead of letting them go out or instead of having a break. We do games.
Well,
I'm sorry, more specifically, if a student needs a break, if he or she does need a break, to prevent it, isn't it against human rights? I got a lot of problems.
well,
Both
there's no discussion related to that, especially if
yes,
it's health related. If the
absolutely.
student can present a document showing that the student suffers from a health issue, that student should be given the right of doing whatever he or she
Yeah.
needs to do. Otherwise, of course not, because unfortunately, Culturally, we have this um, horrible habit of lying and using other people's health issues as our health issues.
Yeah.
That's why we have developed a kind of a psychological illness of not believing anyone. See? So
Yeah.
the pathological lying in our community posed pathological disbelief. I have suffered the same issue, believe me. Some students come to me and say, Hojam, I need to do this, I need to do, and I say, bring me a document. I don't believe you. What a shame. What a shame. I feel so embarrassed just to say this to a student who says he has a he has a mental issue.
Yeah.
I say, bring me a document. It's not because of me, it's because of this horrible culture of using nonsense excuses before people who actually have it, use them as their own excuses. So, Ali Hocam, you're totally right.
So Aydan Hocam,
Even the teacher has the right to give a break. But
absolutely.
look around. All the physical conditions, limited classrooms, limited
Yeah.
teachers, excess teaching hours,
Yeah.
horrible teaching schedules. And then we ask teachers to teach everything in block periods
Hmm.
because it's more practical. Are they learning? Are we teaching? Who cares? It's practical, unfortunately.
Aydan Hocam,
Oh,
so we can say teachers should be very careful, should be mature enough and experienced enough
of
to
course.
differentiate the lies and the real needs.
Even at this age, I cannot tell the difference, Saluchan, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Some liars are incredibly good liars, and some truth tellers are horrible truth tellers. Even when they're telling you the truth, they look so unbelievable. You don't believe that. But I totally understand your point.
Thank you.
We should always keep in mind that when you're dealing with human beings, you need to be a human being first, right? All the others will follow. Just before I got this horrible sickness, three young male students came to my office saying, Hoja, the our instructor keeps insulting us in front of our friends. Can you please make this person stop? And I looked at them like, what? What are you saying? These three young men, why should they be lying? They said they gave me certain phrases. This person, I don't want to use any gender pronouns, so I'm going to say they. They said this to me. They said this to me in front of my friends. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? You're a teacher, but you're first a human being. This doesn't give you any right to insult anyone, to use all these negative, derogatory terms to discourage a young person like that. What the heck is wrong with us? Are we that angry? Have we lost our affection, understanding, love? towards everything. No, let's not do that. Let's go back to being nice and loving teachers. I know Shebna Mojam is going to say, no. Well, I love you, Shebna Mojam. Really. Okay. What is important here, in fact, what we learned from this session is human beings are not the same. They learn in different ways, they react in different ways, they teach in different ways. So the best thing is to be ready for a wide variety of learning styles and teaching styles and help our students. By the way, I think Ezgi Hocam asked me if I could give some documents related to finding out about your learning style. Of course, I can, but right now, I cannot remember the names of the resources. So, Ezgi Hocam, if possible, can you please write your email in the chat box? So, or I can share these names on my Facebook account. If you are a follower, you can find those books there. One of them is, as far as I remember, Knowing You, Knowing Me. The title is Knowing You, Knowing Me. But I can't remember. Let me write the book title here. I can't remember the publishing house and the authors. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I was very, very ill, and I'm taking a lot of medication, so my mind is not that clear right now. But there's another book, I cannot remember the name, but that is, I believe, uh, Nile Publishing. Do you know Nile Publishing House? They also have um, different courses, certificate programs, whatever. Nile has a lot of uh, applications related to learning styles, um, teaching activities, using games, fun activities. So I can come up with a short list like that and share it with you tomorrow on Facebook. Okay? If you are a follower, or I can also share it on Inged's Facebook page. How about that? Okay. That's a promise. I promise. Shilojam, I really don't remember the name. I'm sorry. But this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't ring a bell. Giovanni Cherica? Oh, no, no. Sounds like a fashion
But
model.
Knowing Me, Knowing You by Kate A. Rice, an integrated socio-psychology guide to personal fulfillment and better relationships.
Mm? Is,
Is
is that the
that
sum? Is that the summary of the? Well, well, I can even put the photographs. I will take the pictures of the books. I have them, and put them on Inged. Facebook though, okay, not Instagram, but Facebook. Uh, as Gojam, do you follow Inged?
it might be by publisher, it can be Trafford.
Don't even try, Gojam.
Okay.
No, no, nothing. Just the full blank.
Can it be this one?
Okay. Well, if this is the new, yes, this is the writer. This Rice is the writer, but the book's cover has changed. Oh,
No,
okay, maybe this is the new version. Yes, yes, this is the book.
Kate A. Rice.
Yes. Also, Nezgi Hocam, you are going to be, you're not going to be an English teacher. Also, Nezgi Hocam, if you follow Inget, you can see the books there, okay? Doesn't matter. If you're interested, whether you're a student or a teacher, doesn't matter. Whoever comes to our meetings here to learn is a teacher in my mind. I call all of you guys Hocam. I respect uh, your devotion and dedication to your profession. So that's the way of showing it. Um, well, there are no questions, Giti Hocam. That means you have explained everything so clearly. Everyone is happy.
Or maybe the topic is a bit new for my colleagues. Maybe I wish they go and read a bit about it because it's really interesting. And as they read more and more, it gets even
Yeah.
more interesting when they go back
Well,
to the story
unfortunately,
behind the novel.
scholars have started debunking all learning style theories, unfortunately. They keep saying, no, there are not different learning styles, whatever, whatever. Well, guys, I don't know. Maybe Kolb's experiential learning theory is not a good theory. Maybe Myers and Briggs categories are not good. I only know one thing. Human beings are human beings. They are unique beings. If you want
Right.
to be aware of that, it's always good to know the differences. So you can always learn more, whether you want to believe it or not. That all depends on you.
Correct.
Giti Hocam, thanks a million for this wonderful session. We
Thank
had
you
great time.
for
We learned
providing
a
such
lot.
an opportunity for us, Hojam.
It was
Thank
my
you very much
pleasure.
for having
Thank
me.
you. And my dear colleagues, as always, I appreciate your being here with us to learn and to teach us. Take good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you, if I survive, hope to see you next week. Stay safe. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.